Oh, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Season 2, Two Pieces Toast. It's been a long fucking time. I took some time off to build a good ass guest list and get some things set up, which we'll talk more about in the future. But without further ado, let's kick off Season 2. We got Griffin today and my friend Devante Kentebe, the king of old. Where you at now? Are you staying in London?
Yeah, I'm up in London now.
Okay, I
Nice,
should probably
man.
clarify to anyone listening. By London,
Ontario.
yeah, London, Ontario, because that was something I got confused with a lot when we first started talking about it as like, an ignorant American. As soon as I hear London, I immediately think, Europe. I'm like, oh shit, you're making the journey then. You're flying across the globe.
You're
No,
hopping the
sir.
pond, yeah.
Across the pond.
God, that's an old
It
man.
does hold some it does hold a little bit of clout even around, I guess, Canada too.
Like
London's
moving
not
to
that
London.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah, but
So,
nothing's gonna top London, UK, obviously.
What
no,
is it
no.
like there though? Like what kind of city? Is it a big city or I've not looked at
It's like a city, but it's like really stretched out. So it's like
It's it's
it's a
got
big small
Victoria
town.
Hospital as well. So it's Victoria Hospital is actually Canada's #1 treatment for uh immunotherapy and experimental cancer treatments. So a lot of the cancer that people or the chemotherapy that people are treated with is developed in Victoria Hospital. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, that's
That
pretty
is
cool.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it's a weird city in that it's isn't it right kind of close to a mountain too, so it's like a ski town. Not really. It's
Oh,
not a
like
ski
yeah,
town at
we
all,
have
but
Bowler Mountain, like, but they like make fake snow there too to keep the snow on the ground.
Yeah, they do that at a
okay.
lot of ski places. Like all of the ski areas in Tennessee, like not even in Tennessee, you have to drive out of Tennessee because we don't have any mountains big enough for that. But you drive like right over to North Carolina, every single mountain there like uses fake snow, like Beach Mountain and all these places, Sugar Mountain, and it's just because it's just getting too hot, and they use that powdery fake snow that you can fall in and not get hurt because it's not. I don't know though, because when I fall in like the regular snow, even if there's ice under it, I just feel more stable. When I fall through the powder snow, it's like I go straight to the fucking ground. Like
Well,
I
like
feel like
we have enough snow underneath most of the time, so you got like that cushion.
true. It's been a long time since I've been snowboarding or skiing though. To be real with you, I've been sticking to the cement and water mostly.
Yeah, honestly, it's literally right there, and I never go.
Yeah,
Like
no
it's
doubt.
like a 15-20 minute drive. I don't even think about it.
Well, that's the
Well,
thing though. Like if you have like a tourist trap, most people that live in the area don't go to the tourist traps. Like for us, like in Tennessee, like everyone travels from around the world to go to Dollywood and like see the Smoky Mountains. Like I'm talking people from all over the world. I've seen all walks of life in that area just to come see like fucking Dolly Parton, which makes no sense to me because
Right. Yeah,
that's
she's super famous for some reason, bro. People love her.
it's really wild. And like the people that'll come in like from other countries, when I ask them, when I have spoken to like people from other countries that come here, and I ask them like what they're here for, and they're like specifically people from Southeast Asia. They'll literally say, "Oh, the topography is pretty similar to like what we're used to, but it's an entirely different culture. So we didn't want to step too far out of our comfort zone, but also experience like something new."
That's
Which is
pretty interesting.
yeah, right. It's a weird way to look at it. They're like, "I don't want to be homesick, but at the same time, I want to get the fuck out of here for a little bit." And so they go to the actual opposite side of the world, and to them, that's more comfortable than like traveling within their own country, which is
Hmm.
wild.
that makes sense. I kind of get it. My sister's like that. She likes traveling across the world, doesn't like exploring around here. Like she hasn't gone out west in Canada, but she's been to Thailand and that sort of
That's
thing.
badass.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah,
she
that
was
makes
modeling for a
sense.
while, so like they sent her all over the place. She's been to Turkey and Thailand were the two big ones. They
Wait,
were
wait, why did she go to those?
modeling.
Oh,
Yeah.
modeling. Bro, I
Yeah,
Yes.
misheard you.
Thailand would be sweet.
I thought you said snorkeling, and I was like, "What the fuck does snorkeling have to do with?"
Professional snorkeler.
Professional.
Yeah, I was like,
That'd
"Okay,
be a
that's fucking
job.
cool."
That'd be
Yeah,
a hell of a job.
Bro,
no,
if
her
they're
job's
flying you around like that, sign me up.
right. Is she like one of the models though that has like? I know there's a fucking big problem with this in industries where models like starve themselves and do drugs and shit. Is she one of those models or just a normal? Like,
I haven't really gotten into it with her, if I'm honest. She used to be a swimmer, like she used to compete all the time and
right?
whatnot. So she's always had like a skinny physique,
Yeah.
and I'm next to positive that she's gone through like okay, yeah. So when she was in Thailand, she went on to a diet where they were only letting her eat rice, and then her protein was nuts.
What the
And,
fuck?
Yeah.
and so even now she's a vegan, gluten-free vegetarian.
Jesus.
So she just eats vegetables and rice. And I mean it's not bad, but that's what she's eaten for like
Yeah.
14 years. And at one point I can almost guarantee she was like a cokehead, just because I know in modeling that's what
Yeah.
everybody does, and it keeps you
Right.
skinny, keeps you alert too.
Wait, so how
Everybody does their own thing when they party.
does she? I mean, she has to supplement that diet, right? With literally no meat.
Oh
Isn't she?
yeah,
Okay, I was gonna say, like, what does she do
she
to keep?
takes like vitamins,
Okay,
I
okay.
guess, and a lot of the smoothies that she gets too, she'll put in
Protein.
vegan protein powder. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I mean, it's not by no means is she like a super person. I don't think it's that healthy, if I'm being
Right.
honest with you. But it does have its
Definitely
does
has
have its
benefits for
benefits.
some people, yeah. Like, some people
Teach
could
its
really
own.
benefit from going on a whole foods plant-based diet. Like, people specifically with diabetes and that are really overweight could benefit from that. But, like, people that are already decently in shape and need to be, like Devante would have no problem on it, you know? Devante's really athletic and shit.
I would not like that though. Like
Yeah.
my body would have a hard time adjusting.
I love meat, straight up.
Pause.
I fucking love meat, man. I can't. I know this sounds sus or whatever, but dude, I could do carnivore diet for sure. I
Facts.
wouldn't I wouldn't like I would definitely miss I love potatoes and carrots and I love strawberries and mangoes. Like,
Yeah, mashed potatoes. Missing out on like mashed potatoes or fries on the side would suck.
yeah, and mac and cheese, like pasta. I like pasta too. So to give up all of that to just eat meat, I'd be a little upset. But honestly, you can prepare fish in so many ways and chicken that I don't think I'd be too upset. Beef is always kind of beefy to me. Like you can always tell.
Yeah.
Like
Beef
if
is
you're
beef.
eating, yeah, I think here's what I think it is. I think beef itself, like the muscle and like the actual flavor and the fat of beef, is so distinct that it's hard to mute it. You know. Like
Yeah.
chicken can taste like tuna, tuna can taste like chicken, vice versa if you cook them correctly. Like if people you give this to someone like let's say that had never tried either, and you told one of them like, "Oh, this is chicken and this is chicken," and one of them were actually tuna, but you seasoned them the same way, it could get pretty close. They'd be like, "Oh, did you shred this chicken?" You know what I'm saying? If it wasn't extra fishy, like
Mm.
you could definitely mute it down. But beef is one of those where like it's so strong that like that's why you don't season it much. Like when you cook a steak you can easily over season a steak and it won't be as good. You should honestly just be using minimal like salt, pepper, like just to taste the actual beef when you have a good cut. But
Yeah, that's like if you enjoy that like beefy
yeah,
flavor, I
for
guess.
sure.
So.
I'm
Right.
not. That's
And
what I'm
beef
saying.
is that weird kind of thing where you don't necessarily have to cook it all the way, which it just blows my mind.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
go
know about
medium
you.
rare.
I go medium rare too, but I mean,
medium
I
rare.
see some people like if I go out to dinner at a steak place and they get their steaks blue and they're still like digging into it, like, man,
Yeah.
that is that all right to eat? Like I Googled it afterwards and yeah, really once it's heated to a certain degree, which is like 140 Fahrenheit, I'm pretty sure, it kills off anything that lives in beef. So you're good to go just eating it, well, raw.
Like it's the
Yeah.
same way with a tuna steak. Have you ever seen a tuna steak?
Oh fuck yeah! I've had a swordfish steak
Yeah. I I really enjoy like a bluefin tuna that's like
seared.
seared,
They seal
yeah,
the outside and
properly.
leave the middle like
Yeah.
raw though. That's nasty.
Mhm. I love it. I enjoy it with a little bit of wasabi, a little bit of
See,
ginger.
I'm fucked. That's why I think like so when I was a child, I could never even dream of eating anything like sushi, like raw fish or anything like that. I was like, "What? I'm not gonna eat a fucking animal that they just killed and laid on my plate. That's disgusting." It's got to go through some sort of cooking process. But as I've gotten older and like my horizons have expanded, I went from eating fucking well done steak to medium rare only. I've only eaten medium rare for like the past 10 years now.
Because it's one of the best ways.
Oh, it's so much fucking better. But the thing that's surprising when you get into raw meats is you look at all these other countries. Like you go to Japan right now, there's chicken sashimi. Like we're
Yeah,
told our whole lives in America, like don't eat raw chicken. You're gonna get sick as fuck. You're gonna get very sick. But in Japan, like their actual livestock and their protein and their diet and the way they treat animals is so much cleaner that they don't have to worry about their chickens being full of fucking parasites and shit. So people can just eat raw chicken.
well,
Is
like
that
don't they?
real?
They still cook it to the internal temperature, and then shave off the outside, just like
Yeah, it's gross. I couldn't
yeah.
do it. I think I would try it I would try anything once except for slugs. I couldn't eat like a slug or a snail. That's where I draw the line. Like I was talking to
Escargot?
DJ last night. Yeah, I couldn't do it. I have a thing about specifically only slugs and snails. Like this is a little, I don't talk about this much. I got like three real fears in the world. Like I'm afraid of deep, deep, dark water. Even though I can swim really well, deep, dark water scares the fuck out of me. Like I don't know what's in there.
Facts.
I don't know what the fuck's in there. That's horrifying.
Nobody knows.
I'm also afraid of the dentist. Like I don't like the drill being in my mouth. It fucks me up so bad. I hate the drill. And then like the metal scraping against my teeth, it makes me want to vomit. I gag the whole time. It's the worst experience. And then last, fucking slugs and snails, bro. I had an event when I was a kid. I ran out to my grandparents' farm, because we were staying in an apartment up the road, a little 1-bedroom apartment, like 6 of us in there. Ran up to my grandparents' house with my mom, and there was a football laying outside, and it had just rained the night before, so it was wet, dewy everywhere. I picked up the football, rolled it up my arm, and I shit you not, dude, it had to be a couple hundred baby slugs all over
Oh,
my entire arm. I'm talking from my palm where my fingers touched it all the way to my shoulder across my chest because I had taken my shirt off to go play in the rain because my mom was like, you're not going to fucking be wearing wet clothes all day. Go take your shirt off. Go play in the rain.
yeah.
Yeah, and I got slugs all over my entire fucking forearm, my bicep, my chest, and I fucking screamed. And ever since then, dude, terrified of slugs. I fucking hate them things. Yeah, I fucking hate them
Yo,
so much.
yeah, that's terrible.
Dude, when I try to tell people that story, I feel like I'm not doing it justice for how terrifying that is for a child, like a little child who already thinks. I had a thing about textures growing up too. Like, I don't like slimy shit, like worms. I just don't like slimy. It fucks with me.
Bro, that's just some shit that shouldn't happen. Like you're a kid, you pick up a football, bro. Like, nah, that's terrible. That's real terrible.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna be playing me and Connor, and then so I pick up the thing and just fucking ran, just fucking ran inside, and my mom thought I died because I was screaming so loud. She was like, "What the fuck happened? What happened?" And I showed her the slugs all over me, and she just started laughing at me.
Bro, I'd have trust issues when I went back to school. I'd see a football on the ground and be like, I'm not picking it up. Somebody
I
else
did.
can get it.
That's hilarious, man, that you say that because I had that for years, dude. To this day, if I see a fucking basketball or football laying in the grass and I know it rained the night before, I'll kick it
Pick
over
it
and check
first.
every inch of that. I check every inch. I'm like, hold up, before I pick this up, let me just scour this for fucking little parasites that are gonna try to slime me.
Bro, that shows a life lesson.
Yeah.
So the place I'm at right now, like my house, we have a pool in the back, but I have cement, and then outside of that cement is just cedars and another planter closer to the house. But regardless, what that ends up doing is I get these like giant, like I'll show you a picture one time, Logan, and they're like 1 inch, maybe sometimes even larger than that, like an inch and a half, and fat slugs that
Do they
just
look like
show up.
leopards? Like they're
No, they're spotted. They're green and they're spotted.
oh, yours are green. We have the
Ugh.
same ones, but okay, ours
But
get
it's like a
around.
dark green. It's almost like black.
Dude,
It's
yeah, that's
like,
what we get.
yeah, we get the same type of ones, and they're fucking huge. I gotta pull them out of my dog's mouth because he'll try to eat them.
Oh Jesus, that is disgusting.
Ugh.
You touch them with your hands, bro. You're
Yeah, man.
fucked in your mind. Oh, I found it. I found the kind of slug it's called. It's a Limax maximus. Let me
Yeah, you should just look up if they're good for your dog, and if they are, just let them go to town.
let's see
They
if
are
this thing
not.
is.
They are
It's called
poisonous.
it's called
Okay, well then, never
this is the
mind.
one we get here.
I looked it up. I was like, is he getting a snack? But
Nope,
yeah.
no snacks today.
Yeah, so that's the fucking slug we have down here, and I don't know what to tell you besides the scariest event that happened to me in my teenage years. These things can get up to fucking like almost a foot. I'm not making that up, man. These things get massive. Read about them. They get massive. One time I was laying in my dad's room, or my dad's house rather, in the shared room, because my dad had like a little house, and essentially it was his room and then a living room and then mine and Connor, my room, my brother's room, my sister's room, everyone else's room,
Yeah.
that room. I was laying in that room on the bed, and I was just on my phone. I'd been on my phone. I was fucking scrolling. And I see something like above my head out of my peripherals. And I look up and turn around, and hanging about 6 inches out of the fucking light socket, the part where you plug in your fucking device, is a snail. A slug. That slug, rather. I'm sorry, not a snail. That slug, that leopard slug, and its body had been pinched where it was hanging out. So 6 inches of just fat, fucking juicy slug was hanging about a couple inches away from my face above my head, dude. And dude, they followed me. I swear to God, you can ask Connor about this. Connor said he's never seen so many slugs in his life than when he comes to wherever I live. Like wherever I'm living at the time. He said he hasn't seen slugs in 2 years since he moved to the place he's at now. Dude, you go outside right now at my house, even this cold, there's going to be like 10, 15 slugs on the sidewalk leading up to my house. It's insane. I don't know why, dude. It's like, so, I can't remember what the name of the law is, but you attract the thing you fear the most. What's the name of that fucking, the law? Essentially, like, thinking about it so much, manifest it wherever you go. I can't think of the fucking name of the actual, but I'm pretty sure that's what's happening, because when I talk to anyone, they're like, oh, like, I was talking to a guy the other day. He's like, you know what I haven't seen in a while? Fucking slugs, man. And I was like, really? I've seen fucking 1,000 this year. A literal.
I better not start seeing them.
They just start popping up, bro. They're horrifying. And there's that old question. It's like, would you rather have like giant fucking slugs take over the world or an army of small spiders? I'm taking the fucking spiders. I'll get a flamethrower out and fuck the spiders up.
Wow, that's actually a difficult question. I don't think I'd take the spiders, man. Spiders are quick.
I'm so scared though. Imagine a person-sized slug just rolling up and dissolving you.
Well, yeah, that's bad too.
It just fucking rolls over you and dissolves you. Oh, speaking of dogs, Griffin, you were talking about your dog eating the fucking slugs, some fucking nasty shit. How are your dogs doing, man? Are you still doing that breeding project you had going on?
Yeah, I got Storm here. I'm waiting for her to go into heat, and then hopefully it'll be like any month now, and then we'll breed her up.
For people listening, kind of explain like what kind of dogs you breed and like the process of like essentially how you run your little like breeding farm area you got at that house up there.
It's just like pocket-sized American Bully. They're kind of popular. Some of them come out Merle, some of them come out with like Brendel patterns. It's kind of interesting. You never know what you're gonna get when you have certain bloodlines.
I had to look it up. I remembered what they look like because I've seen your dogs before, but I had to look up like the actual name of what you said, pocket-sized American Bullies.
Yeah, because like at the other place you saw Loki, Ghost, Dozer, Sensei, Storm, Callie.
Yep.
All those. You saw the whole group of them. And then we had the one litter between Ghost and Storm they looked pretty nice. I mean, they literally just lock and then puppies come out 2 months later.
That's wild. They only have a 2-month gestation period?
Yeah, it's real quick.
Holy.
Like this dog got so fat so fast.
That's fucking wild. So how many times a year would you typically like breed them? I'm not sure.
Well, like they only go through like 3 litters, and then it's like dangerous for them.
Okay. See, I didn't know any of that. My uncle, he breeds hunting dogs and stuff, and like, the county will employ him to go bear hunting and things like that when there's a problem bear. Or he'll take people on guide trips using his dogs. And
so he's breeding like monsters. That's pretty dope.
well, they're just literally blue tick.
Really?
Yeah, and the blue ticks are what treat the fucking bears, dude. They're beast. They're
True.
fucking beast.
They just got drive or something.
Well, the thing is too, like, these dogs are specifically normally bred to chase down raccoons. That's what they're called, coon hounds, blue tick coon hounds.
Yeah, so
And
that's like a little animal. That's like a
they're
big
not
jump.
big. Yeah, they're not very big, dude. And what he'll do is get like anywhere from
Enough of them.
5 to 10 of them, and just they'll tree a bear. They'll just bark at it from all different directions, chase it fucking miles, bro, miles and miles and miles, and chase it to
Sure,
a
they're
point.
like pack animals, like
Yep,
wolves. Huh?
exactly. And then they'll tree it up, like they'll run it to a point where the bear runs up a tree to be safe, and then they'll have someone shoot it. And typically they only do that. Well, I mean, they hunt it for sport from time to time, but they're like, my uncle's really one of those people that's like, don't let a single bit of the animal go to the waste. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, he uses fucking everything. I remember one time when we were younger, he killed a deer, and we were using the heart and everything, like the blood, like all of it. And
If it's a problematic bear, is
oh
it
yeah,
okay to make a coat out of it?
yeah, I'm sure, dude. They do
Right,
it
you
for
got to
the
stay warm
farmers,
in the
right?
winter, and those coats are nice.
Well, so they do it for the farmers typically, because a problematic bear is either killing livestock or eating crop. They had a bear that had eaten, like, I think they said 13 acres worth of corn over the
Damn,
course of the season.
it's a
Yeah,
lot of corn.
that's what I'm
Here's
saying.
my thought on that too. Like, sorry, back to the coat thing, but just because that's been like talked about too, I think someone living out who needs that coat to stay warm, even if it's for like a couple months, I would say, like, if you say are living up north in the mountains and during that time you do kill a bear, you mount its head, you take its coat, you make a rug or whatnot, then you move to a big city and you still have that rug, then I'm not really shaking my head at you when I see a bear rug. But it's more so when it's like someone like our
Instagram model.
yeah, something like
Yeah,
that, like an Instagram model or someone who's chasing clout, that's like brand new fucking polar bear skin rug. I wouldn't say
Yeah, I don't
polar
believe
yeah,
in
bears
okay,
on that.
fair
are
enough.
lying
That's
anyway,
fair.
but like y- I think if you maybe kill it yourself and you're at least using it, like that's the part of it. Like if it's a use besides just look at this, I think then
Yeah.
it has some merit to it. But like
That's
I
fair.
don't know,
Well, there's even certain animals that I would say you don't even have to get a fucking use out of it to kill them, because some animals are genuinely just bad for your environment. Like in this area, dude,
coyote.
coyotes, exactly.
Yep.
You kill a fucking coyote, I don't think anyone's gonna blink twice about you stuffing it and mounting it. Like, to be real with you, just because
So
there's such a problem down here.
I mean,
I
a lot
just
of
got my
people have
gun
woods.
license and shit for hunting down here, and they give out, I think it's 7 tags, and after that you can request the tags 5 at a time after that, and they'll actually run these like campaigns where they'll give you more money for those tags. So if you go out hunt coyotes, bring in the tags, they'll give you a lot more money for them.
Yeah, and
That's
that's the
kind of
thing.
nice. What's your clip size regulations now?
So we're up to 5 in a clip if it's semi-automatic. Shotguns basically are like you can't really, like if it's a semi-auto shotgun, you can load 5 shells, and then if you shoot one, you can load another one. But max is 5, and
Bro,
So 5 at a time,
the crazy
5 at
thing
a
is
time.
if you're out in the wilderness, like that's low key
not enough.
a dangerous
Not
amount to
Yeah,
safe.
have if you're
Right.
in danger. Like you
for
could
real.
So,
be in
and
trouble.
those are the gray areas too. And those are the other parts where people will take like, all right, I've got a rifle that's got loaded a 5 clip and I've got an extra 5 clip on my belt. That's allowed. Now I also have they'll take other things as their main like hunting. Like a lot of the guys that I was talking to or going through the course with, they actually mainly hunted with musket rifles, like black powder rifles.
What the
Hmm,
fuck?
that's crazy.
Yeah. And they say black powder rifles right now in Canada aren't held to the same degree as normal rifles. So you can actually get a black powder rifle that will take down an elk or take down a moose or take
Oh,
down a
that thing's
bear.
a
Jeez,
beast, dude. What the
that's
fuck? That's a
that's
little
crazy.
cannon,
Yeah, it's literally like a little hand cannon. And the modern
People don't
ones
realize how big
nowadays,
those animals are.
dude.
they are giant, man. They use these caps, right? So instead of loading black powder like they did back in the day, you just take a cap out of your pocket, you load it into the front of it, and load in your ball, stuff in wad or stuff your wad, load in your ball, and stuff in a little bit of powder that you keep on you.
Dear God.
And if they get, it sounds like a lot, but I watched like showing the video on how quick they can do it. Some of these guys can load off like 3 shots in 30 seconds. And again, these
Damn.
are like giant ass bullets. Like he's taking out the bullet and it's like an egg in his hand that he's loading into the barrel of the gun. So
Damn.
that's a lot of around here. There's surprisingly like when you lived in Chatham, Devante, I'm sure you heard that like the huge cracks that go off when it's like crow season, that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah,
Those
yeah.
the giant cracks are usually from the black powder rifles. Like a normal rifle won't make it'll make a sound, but it'll more make a sound like bark cracking, and it'll be like kind of nearby where the others kind of sound like a poof, like a cannon.
Carries, yeah.
Yeah, but if you look up like a modern black powder rifle, some can get pretty scary looking. And as well with that, there's rifles that are coming out now that are minimalistic in that all it is a barrel, one like tube, you load in the bullet, you cock it, and then you fire. But they're spring loaded, so they're quick enough that guys are getting really good at
Fucking
just
speed
loading
shooting,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And with that kind of thing, you can carry as much ammo as you want.
Even
That's the
still,
other part.
though, that
If
that is
that's taking down an elk, that's ripping your car. Like that's
Yeah.
dangerous.
People are gonna be riding around downtown Toronto with black powder rifles, like
right.
no.
That's wild.
bro.
Wait,
That's wild to think about. Like, but that's still even more so proves the point of how dangerous it would be to fucking hunt in rural Canada. Like when you get towards Alaska, is it like that? Because
it's
there's
probably
they have
not. That's
No,
probably
no,
Ontario.
no.
okay, that's what I
Yeah.
was gonna say. Because dude, you get out there and there's real grizzlies out there, bro. I'm
Oh yeah.
talking fucking real brown bears that'll tear you limb from fucking limb if you
Brown
don't
bears
load
that'll
them up.
eat 5 shots like nothing.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. 5 shots of a shotgun won't do shit to a fucking a bear. And people don't realize, man, bears are fucking insane, dude. Like there's when speaking on my uncle hunting them again. There's times even if you do shoot it directly in its fucking heart, it'll still go a few steps and swing a few times before it drops. And most of the time you have a follow-up shot. You try to avoid the follow-up shot. If you have a good shot, get it behind the shoulder, you know what I'm saying? Hit it right in that sweet spot. But even
Their
then,
skulls are thick too.
that's what I'm saying, dude. You better not try to shoot one of those fuckers in the head because more
It'll keep
likely,
going.
yeah, dude, it's just gonna,
It's gonna be ruled by survival instinct. That's all gonna be at the base of its skull, basically. Well, not the skull, but it's the back of its head at the medulla. The same thing we have. Like when you fall or somebody hits you in the back of the head and it knocks you out.
yeah,
That's partially your survival. Like that's where your heartbeat, your breathing, all is kind of monitored. Same with a bear, except when it's running and it's full of adrenaline, it'll just be ruled by that. So it'll fucking it'll just keep going. They're
Yeah,
scary. Have you
there's no
guys seen
quit.
the trailer for Cocaine Bear or watched the movie yet?
No.
I've heard about it, and it's. I feel bad that it was Ray Liotta's last project, but maybe it's gonna be fucking incredible. But from what I've heard, it is pretty. I mean, it's a fucking movie about a bear that did cocaine, which is a true story. It was this cocaine fueled fucking bear that fucked everyone up, but it's
That's so
Before it died,
crazy.
yeah.
there's some
I gotta go into the movie expecting it to be just wild. So like I'm not expecting it to have like a good storyline or like make a whole lot of sense. And I'm sure some of the jokes are gonna be like fucking landing flat, you know what I mean? Like
Well, like based on a true story, like there's no way that makes sense. That's just a weird life experience, bro. Bear just found some
so
cocaine, just mugging people.
what actually happened was they were smuggling cocaine through a forest, I believe. Through a foresty part into the United States, I believe. I don't know where. I shouldn't speak on that, but they were smuggling cocaine, and the bear got into their packs, and apparently the bear just like started sniffing, playing around, and there was like cocaine everywhere. So then it ate another thing of cocaine and just went fucking crazy and tore apart these people's campsites. Like, and it died soon after. It only lasted for about like 2 minutes, but for like that 2 minutes, that bear was the strongest terrestrial being on the planet. Like,
Went to Hulk mode.
Bro, it's weird though, because I mean, it makes a lot more sense now that I'm reading it that it was a black bear, because black bears, there's a notorious problem in this where we live in the southern states, United States, where
it's
people are
same up
fucking
here, man.
trying to socialize and humanize black bears like they're not killing machines. They're like,
Oh,
oh, look at this cute little bear, let's feed it. That happens a lot down here, dude. You see a lot of videos these people visiting campsites and a bear will rummage into their fucking campground. And because their instinct is telling them, you know, you hear this thing in the South all the time, as long as you don't act like you're going to hurt it, it won't hurt you. Dumbest shit I've ever heard in my fucking life, dude.
Jesus. That
And so,
thing is a predator. It's
oh
gonna
yeah,
eat you and then not care. It's gonna eat you while you're alive. That's the other thing. Bears don't give a shit. Like
yeah.
I know this has been said on many podcasts before, but like uh, they don't have any knowledge of what makes things tick. They just know it as food. So the same way it tears apart a salmon and it'll just like rip its skin off, and then if it's not gonna eat it all, it'll just throw it away. The salmon's still flopping around. It'll do that to you, no problem if it's hungry.
Right.
Yeah.
And up here, I was gonna say like we had the same problem, but we don't. Like you probably once you get further enough north, you'll start to notice all of the dumpsters and that are like 10-foot high walled in dumpster things that close automatically that take like 3 hands to open. But up north, Elliott Lake sort of area, New Liskard, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Once you get up
Manitoulin
there,
Island.
yeah, Manitoulin Island, exactly. That sort of place. Once you get out there, bears are commonly found wandering into the city, and for the longest time, they just help themselves to trash and shit. And now we're at a point where they're wandering in and getting stuck in these like walled off areas. And yeah, it's not so much a problem for Canada. I haven't heard of many like bear attacks or anything like that, or like as a result, but I've
Well,
seen it with my own eyes happening.
it's just because we were being smart with them. Like when I was up there in Manitoulin Island, there's places where you take your garbage, right? It's not picked up on every street there. So you have like a day, you go there, you bring it in, and like we're in there, you gotta go real quick, you drop it off. We see 5 bears just in the area, like they're in the area
Exactly. I
just
was
eating.
gonna say if you want to see a black bear, go to the dump. Like that
Yeah,
that was the rule. I used to go up to Manitoulin all the time and take the ferry and go explore up there, but it's
nice up there.
it's
Dude,
good country.
you want to hear something crazy about trash that I recently learned? I know this is a topic jump, but did you know in Japan that you have to separate your fucking trash?
Like laundry.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
well, you have to. It makes way more sense, and that's what I'm about to get into. They have like 6 or 7 different styles of trash that you have to separate your own trash, and they have a different day of the week. Like, Mondays is like plastics, Tuesdays is cardboard, Wednesdays is You know what I'm saying? Like whatever else, fucking paper.
Right.
And so,
Devante,
They actively repurpose stuff too, though.
yeah,
Like better than most places.
I was
we
just
have that here too. Just like it's recycling, but it's to a point. Like we don't like
Well,
when I
like,
go to throw something out, like I'll separate it. Like plastic goes in this one,
right.
fucking cardboard from it goes into this one, and then
They have that here too, but it's optional. I'm saying like that's the problem.
oh
out here.
yeah,
Like it's
it
mandatory.
is an
in Japan.
option. Like my grandparents don't do that.
Yeah, like in Japan, it's literally mandatory. If you move into a place, they'll give you a trash schedule when you start renting the place, and then they're like, the average home in Japan has like 6 different trash cans to like separate their shit. I've been reading a lot because I'm about to
wild.
visit soon, and I'm like, I know that's not going to apply to me because I'm just going to be like either
but
renting a
like
hotel or staying in a Ryoka. But it's wild to think.
that level of like daily organization definitely plays a big impact in your life, though.
Dude, I imagine that is so much fucking better, not only for your country and your nature, but for your mental health to just get used to organizing your life like that. Like,
Yeah.
imagine like you're being forced to organize stuff. Because I don't know if you guys are like this, but for me, as soon as I have to start organizing one thing, it carries over for the rest of the day. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, now that I did that, I might as well fucking go ahead and organize this. And then I get in this. I was just doing it before this podcast. I started
Mhm.
doing some coding on my website and was working on a design. And Griffin heard me start going in a fucking literal tangent, like a circling pattern of just fixing shit and changing shit and fixing shit and changing shit. I'm like, now that I've started, I got to go ahead and do it. I had to forcefully stop myself because, like, once my biggest problem, that is also one of my greatest assets, is that once I start being productive, I find it very hard to stop. But I
Right. You feel
also
like you
find
gotta
it hard
finish.
to start. That's my thing. Like, it's hard for me to start, but once I fucking go, I'm like, okay, I'm going all day now. Like, I'm gonna get barely any sleep and fucking really work hard today and just get all this shit done. And then I'll go like 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7, days, sometimes a couple weeks, and be like, I don't feel like doing anything. I just did that the other day. And in my
Right.
mind, the other day is yesterday, but sometimes the other day can be 2 months.
Yeah,
Like,
for
it
sure.
happens out of nowhere, dude. It's these
It
weird.
creeps up, and it's yeah, it's like, oh shit, I guess I'm gonna do everything in the next 2 days and then do nothing for a week.
Exactly.
But
But that's what I'm saying. Like, imagine how much our societies would benefit from being forced to organize your daily life every day, because the place you rent from or own is like, hey, if you don't do this, you can't stay here. I know I
imagine
don't like the
if
mandatory
we were
aspect.
raised. No, I'm
If
sorry.
we were raised better. No, but
Yeah, I mean, if
I
you
get like,
raise your kids to fucking do that, like if it's just the rules of the house and rules of the kind of thing, like if you grow up always separating your trash, like no matter what,
it would
like
just
I
be
have.
habitual. It'd be habitual at that point. You wouldn't even think about it.
Yeah, but
Yeah, if
what
I go to
extent do
someone's
you
house, I'm
separate it
still
to? Because we're not as picky here as
no,
certain
definitely
places.
not.
I don't think I would have
And
a problem with it as much as I would other things like in Japan that are mandatory. Like separating the trash is something I could get accustomed to very quickly because I like the idea of it. But there's other
Right.
things there. Like apparently it's supposedly. I'm gonna speak on this in a very hypothetical way because I don't think it's true personally. But the past few videos and documents I've read have pretty much said if you're a foreigner, it's pretty impossible to get a place to stay there unless you're willing to like do everything under the table, like make money under the table and like kind of just pay cash and stay off their
But
rate.
like, what's necessarily wrong with that?
I don't think anything's wrong with it. I think the biggest problem I would have is just finding an area that's not complete shit to stay in. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like if you're out there and like depending on your situation when you go there, obviously, if you can put down enough for a place and you have to go work somewhere under the table, I think a lot of places know that that's if that is what's going on there, they know that that's what has to
that's
happen.
the norm, yeah.
Like,
I
cause
think
it's not like here, right?
yeah.
Well, even here, there's like legal channels that has fallen into. Like if you go to, there's places in Ontario, sorry, like Leamington, Kingsville, that are densely populated with migrant workers, but it's all kind of through the books. Where
It's
in
weird how that
Japan,
works, though.
it's very odd because I install internet, right? So I'll go into these houses that there'll be one address and it'll be just like
It's
uh,
it's called the bunkhouse.
yeah, it's a bunkhouse basically,
Yeah.
and there's like 5 to 10 people in there, and they all kind of have their own little place, and they all are sharing the same internet. It's kind of weird, but whatever. And I'm sure that they're all legal. Like I can't imagine that they're all smuggled up to Canada. But regardless of that, is the people there who are hosting them, and that's like an everyday life. Like that's like not a it's not out of the norm to do that, you know what I mean? So
Right.
I'm imagining it's similar in Japan where if you go to certain places where they're like kind of used to tourists or they're more apt to like work with tourists because they're
Yeah.
in
There's
that kind
definitely
of
pockets like
situation.
that. Because
Yeah.
I was just listening to something the other day, and like in Korea, which is right next to Japan, they have this thing where, and this is how a lot of people get away with it. They'll go over there and teach English under the table, and you don't have to have any kind of degree to do that. You're essentially just helping tutor kids that want extra help, like their parents. Like, I really want them to learn English. We'll pay you like $50 an hour for 3 3-hour classes a week. You know what I'm saying? So you make $150 a day, 3 days a week, $450. and you'll go under the table. They do that by going on a 90-day work visa. So they'll go over there for 90 days. On the 90th day, they'll just dip into Japan. Like at the bottom of Korea, there's a little island that's technically part of Japan. They'll take a ferry over to it, and then they'll ferry back into Korea, and then renew their 90-day visa. And they just repeatedly do that. And there was a guest recently on Joe Rogan's podcast. He's Sonny, the best food review show guy ever, that was talking about this. I didn't even ever expect him to make it to Joe Rogan because he's just a goofy ass American. But he lived
Bro,
in
he
Korea
popped
for
out of
8 years.
nowhere, man. Like, he's been doing it, but like he's just recently gotten so big. Like, I've seen him on everything.
Yep, it's great. And what it is, because my fiance and I have been watching him for fucking ever. Like back when his videos were getting like 20-30,000 views, and we were like, oh, this guy's interesting. Now he's getting millions on every video. The
Right.
difference that happened, he talked about it on the podcast too, is he switched to exotic animals. That like blew up. Like he's doing some real controversial shit, to be honest, like shooting zebras and like eating whales
yeah.
and like monkey brains and like some crazy shit.
Mhm.
Crazy shit by our standards, but that's
I
the
saw
point he's
that monkey
making.
brain thing. That was wild.
Yeah, that's crazy by our standards, but in another culture, that's just normal ass shit. Like I was
Right.
talking to my fiance, she wouldn't eat horse. She wouldn't eat anything that's not normal American food that we eat. Dude, you fucking cut up a horse, cook it, I'll eat it right now. Like I would eat any animal on this planet except
If
for
it
a
was
slug.
cut into steaks, you wouldn't even know if somebody served it to you.
That's what I'm fucking saying. I think the one thing I would have genuine problems like eating it if I saw it prepared, the only two things would probably be primates and dogs. But if I didn't know that's what I was being fed, and then you told me after I was eating it, I'd be like, all right.
Yeah,
Whatever.
that is kind of crazy, but like that's mostly from our society, right? Because like there's cultures that's a regular thing for them. Like,
Oh yeah, and there's other cultures too that if like so, and it's somewhat true for us. Okay, so hear me out. If you get hungry enough, that part of your brain that tells you this is wrong to eat this thing will turn off. Like that,
Yeah.
it will actually not be. It'll not be powered. Like your brain won't waste the energy. It'll be too worried about surviving. If you get to that point where you need to eat that bad, like there's stories about South African tribes, or not South African, South American tribes that haven't been touched for many years. They're just recently coming into contact, and they're finding out from them that they've gone through these dark times where the sick and the elderly were eaten basically, and it wasn't necessarily looked at as a bad thing. Like it wasn't.
yeah,
It's just odd to me, and I get it. Like I've been hungry before.
It's odd,
and
but end of the world comes, dude, and there's some fucking douchebag that comes and tries to hurt my kid or my family. I'm gonna kill this motherfucker and eat him. I'm gonna gain his spiritual power, bro. I'm gonna fucking kill him and dismember him and eat his ass and then just fuck. I feel like that's where the breaking point would happen for me. Like I could keep it all together until the first person attacked my family, and then that's when I would go savage. I feel like that's what would separate my brain. Because leading up until that point, I would just be like, all right, we're just gonna be focused on survival. We're gonna try to be kind humans and keep our humanity together, and we're gonna hide away in the woods. The second some random crazed motherfucker rolled up over the mountain down into my little valley and like pointed a gun at my son, this motherfucker's getting clubbed and eaten. I won't I won't think twice about it, bro. I feel like that's what it'll happen. I'll just be like, okay, we're eating humans now. We're eating humans now. It's gotta happen. But until that, I would be pretty. I don't know though. That's a hard line to cross. Like, do
right.
you think
Right?
if you were ever hungry enough, could you eat a baby? I couldn't eat a baby.
I don't think I could.
Couldn't eat a
I'd
baby.
starve to death. But
I
like
was starving.
again, I don't know. Like I've never been to the point. You know, like
Right.
nobody's probably really been to that point where it's like if I don't take this bite in the next 30 seconds, I'm not gonna be alive. You know,
And your
And
body would
see,
violently reject it because it's
it
never
would
eaten anything
violently
like that.
reject
Yeah,
it.
you would get so fucking sick from eating that at first, but after a
if
couple
you
hands and legs,
like, you heard stories too, man. Like
That's crazy.
people that haven't eaten that are in a gulag or something like that. A rat will run by, they'll eat the live rat. Like, yeah, your
yeah,
body
grab it,
rejects it, but you just
do
you
it.
work through it. So I think what I would do in that situation, honestly, if I was like, like if I was at a point where I would need to eat a baby, I think I would just fucking separate myself from the baby, like not be able to. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
treat myself like a feral at that point. Like, all right, I'm not gonna be able to control myself around this other meat. I'm
I know.
gonna, you know what I
Facts.
mean?
But
It
like,
gets a little
what's the
different when you
area
have.
around you though? That's gonna come down to that. Like, there's
Yeah.
gotta be something you can hunt. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
or there's got to be vegetation. But if you're in straight fucking tundra type area and you'll see another living being once every couple months, just run by like
yeah.
a fucking Arctic fox or some shit, or a polar bear, God help you, you're screwed. If it's a
Like,
polar
because
bear,
you're gonna try.
Mhm.
Like, you're trying.
you're gonna be like, damn it, I gotta
Hey,
kill it. You need it.
if you got enough planning, man, you like the Batman principle, enough time, enough planning, enough research, you can beat any animal on the planet. And
Bro, that
I
that's
that
think a
man
what
polar
also
we've
bear
has
done.
enough
might.
money.
I think a
Oh,
polar bear
that's true
might.
too. Yeah. Okay. You need enough gumption as well. But I mean, they to take out a polar bear, you got to set a trap. You just punji stick it. You know what I'm saying? You set up a
Yeah.
big ass hole, with some
Yeah, with
pointy
a bunch
sticks at the bottom of the hole, and then you. I mean, it's gonna be scary. You're gonna have to like yell at it from afar. It's gonna have to chase on you, and you're gonna have to like jump on a
That's the thing
fucking
too.
rope or something.
If you've had time to dig that and you knew there was a polar bear nearby, that polar bears are extremely territorial, bro. If you were already on its habitat and you were trying to dig a hole, you would have been. I feel like you'd already be dead. It'd be like, what the fuck is this dumbass fucking primate looking thing? I never seen anything like this. Digging a hole in my fucking backyard. It would just walk over
Right.
and club your ass, drag you into the water, and fucking drown you, bring you back up, and eat you.
Well, I
Right. It's so
mean, that's
crazy.
part
They,
of
they just
the
dip in the water like it's nothing.
polar bears are wild. And you guys have heard about it as well, but there used to be a short-faced bear that
Oh
roamed the
yeah.
Great American Store. Like, can you imagine running into that thing as a pre-human unga bunga, not even having a fucking tool or
You're dead.
not having a get? Yeah, you're dead. You're
Yeah,
just
but
that
but
your
we
journey is
also
done.
don't know if it was like they didn't have a tool to our standard. Like they might have had a bear killer in their standards, you know?
Yeah, they.
True. You've watched some like I know what you're talking about.
You feel what I'm saying?
So what a
Yeah, they're
you,
using sound guns or some shit. No.
Yeah,
dude, you
maybe
never
not
know.
necessarily, but you never know what they got.
You got to. We have to. I mean, over the past 20 years, we've had to like drastically rethink what ancient civilizations were like because there's still things to this day. I know everyone goes through the usual touching like the pyramids, how did they build them, blah blah blah. To me, the most fascinating thing still to this day, which I've talked about probably 30 fucking times on this podcast, is
Younger Dryas.
the the them doing the lidar detecting on the Amazon and finding out there were civilizations that could house millions of
Mhm.
people and fucking aqueducts that were built, and that the entire Amazon is essentially a fucking planted garden from a civilization that lived there. And they just either
About 12,000, 11,000 years ago. Yeah.
yeah, when we
Sorry to interrupt
previously
there.
thought no, you're fine. We previously thought no humans lived there at that time, and then we find a civilization that was large enough and advanced enough to fucking house millions of people, which is insane. That they
Right.
had the techniques for aqueducts. They had built irrigation into
Right.
it.
And nobody knows, bro. Nobody knows how.
Yeah, they just disappeared. There's no record of them besides that. They don't have like, oh, we knew that this was the Mayans, or we knew that this was, so on and so forth. We have
Right.
no fucking clue who it was. It was just
And depending on time frame, that makes sense. Like,
yeah.
we
And
wouldn't
this
we wouldn't
is
know.
a lot of the Graham Hancock stuff that he is really diving into right now, like the Gung. I can't really say it, but Gungdung Pengdang, whatever in Indonesia. That's one of those that you were talking about. That they did lidar and basically revealed that this small site, which was previously thought of to be just a small temple on the top of a mountain, it turns out that like half the mountain is the temple. Like they've taken these rocks, and it's similar to other temples around the world where there's inner chambers, and at the center of the chamber is usually where there's like a spring or like a hot spring or an aqueduct or something like that, basically something that's significant. So ancient cultures would have basically started out, and in that one in particular, they've built upon what was already there, and that's kind of similar. I know people talk about the Sphinx in that sort of way, that it was already there, and then that the Egyptians kind of found it, reshaped its head, built upon the pyramids, kind of thing. Like, there's a lot of different theories out there, and I really suggest looking into Graham Hancock's theories on it. He's
Oh, is it the how do you say this? Kalashnath Temple? Kalashnath Temple? Or was it the Gobekli Tepe?
Gobekli Tepe is another one that he talks about a lot. I'm pretty sure that one is the Amazon, if I'm correct.
This one's the one in Turkey, Gobekli Tepe.
Yeah, imagine that was your job. You just got your money up, and then you got the funding to just explore that kind of stuff. That'd be
Bro,
so
that's
cool.
So
that's
he's not
every
even
job.
an
Or-
archaeologist. He's a journalist.
Well,
He has
yeah, but he's getting
no.
funded from somebody.
Well, it's his own books basically. So like he'll get funding from books, and then he'll convince slash meet people that are already kind of struggling slash like studying it. Like he just did a Netflix series that he goes over Gobekli Tepe, the temples in Malta, uh,
Mhm.
a bunch of different stuff. But he'll like meet up with these people that have been studying them with really low funding. But because he's like making a TV show and doing all this stuff and has funding from his book and gets Netflix to pay for the whole flight, like he
Yeah, yeah,
just
he's a businessman. There's so much in the background for him to profit off of that. Like it's smart.
it's wild. And
What did
he's
you?
been on Joe Rogan, he's been all over. Anyway,
Think,
I'll stop talking about it, but I
no,
find this
it's
stuff
fine.
really
Think
interesting.
think about how hilarious that is though. This guy essentially is a middleman that like finds a plug and then has an idea. He's like, dude, I swear, if we go dig a hole right over there on that mountain, you're gonna find all the fucking drugs you need for as long as you need them.
Right?
He's like, I
See,
just don't have the money. Do you want to go fucking pay for an excavator and some fucking dynamite and we'll blow that bitch up and get all the coke that was stashed there? And
it's not even it's even
Essentially.
more genius than that. It's somebody is already looking for like a pile of cocaine in the desert. They're already digging out there, and all you're doing is grabbing a whole bunch of people who are not really doing much and being like, "Hey, see this guy over here?
he's on the right
He's
track.
he's on the right track." I
Right? It's
mean,
like he's working
take a
hard. We
look at
should
what
go
he's
film
doing.
this.
What a
Uh, give
now
me
I
20
kind of
bucks
think
for
he's doing
gas.
some
I'll
shit.
drive you out there and we'll take a look. But
Right.
I mean, when you look at it like that, looking at it from a standpoint of profit, it would be like, yeah, he's a piece of shit. But if you hear him talk too, he's been a pothead for 20 years until he did like an ayahuasca trip, and then he stopped pot for like 6 years, and then he did another ayahuasca trip, and then he's back on pot, but like
Yeah. But
sparingly. Like he's a
it's
cool
not like
dude.
he's a piece of shit though. Like that's
No, he's
a
just
good way to benefit from putting out the knowledge. Like you have to be able to eat while you're going to these places, you know. So like you're informing us on things that we'd never even hear of. So like you might as well be able to feed your family.
yeah. I'm a big proponent of get money however you can as long as you don't hurt someone else in the process that doesn't deserve it.
Well, like he's shining light on a bunch of
Yeah.
things people are doing at the same
And
time.
everyone there is getting paid. You know, he's not the only one making money. Like every person
Yeah.
that's involved in those projects has to be getting paid. I'm more
Oh
I
so
yeah.
hope.
talking about how we use like there's like areas in Africa that'll generate like huge portion like mines, specifically like the salt mines of Cameroon.
Cobalt.
It's like yeah, cobalt, and there's all kinds of mines in Africa where they'll pay these people like they don't even have electricity in their own fucking villages, and they'll pay these people like pennies and pennies on the dollar to do all of this work to supply the materials that's needed to run electricity to the rest of the world. Like,
Yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions though too, because there's places there like your richest person in America doesn't even touch the wealth in some of those places, you know. So
I'd
it's
say
like
Dubai.
it, it
Dubai is wild.
yeah, like it's just crazy because we have bad areas too where people make like garbage and barely can't even afford to live, but like
I actually live in one of the poorest areas of America, which is insane to think about. Like the Appalachian Mountains, like they've been talked about multiple times. There's people here that make on average like 12,000 a year or less, and they live off that.
yeah, which is crazy because if you lived in like this city or like Toronto, you wouldn't even be able to like afford a house on that, like or rent. That'd be
Yeah, you're
tough.
paying more than that in rent a year, like way more.
Yeah.
Like I know a couple of the people that I've met through you, Devante, that I've stayed in contact with, or you, Griffin, like just the people in our little groups, and we've talked and had like group conversations, shit, will say that their rent is like 2 to 3 thousand sometimes, and I'm like,
Yeah,
that's like
that's
New York
regular.
City. Yeah, that's like New York City down here. You move somewhere that costs that much for rent, you're like living where there's multitudes of people. Like, I mean, my rent is pretty cheap, don't get me wrong, but I also live where the minimum wage is still $7.
Right. That's why I think that's why we see crazy houses in areas out there.
Oh,
And
dude, so much cheaper than. But that's why everyone's fucking buying up land and moving here right now, and it's spiked the price. So, whereas
right.
some of our apartments in the area are townhomes. I live in a townhome. Some of the townhomes near where I live are getting moved up to like 12 to 1,500 a month for the same thing we're paying 675 for a month.
And like that's the craziest thing because at the price like 12 to 15, you'd be lucky to get a 1 bedroom out here.
Yeah, that's wild, man. That's a real estate's probably doing. Real estate is always one of those things though that to the end of time, you will always be able to make money if you do it properly. That's like a staple of every rich person. They do real estate of some form, like buy an apartment building
Yeah.
or like that's specifically what I want to do. I want to buy an apartment building, lease out a management company, and then just forget it fucking exists and have it make me money. That would be
And
fantastic.
yeah, that's the way. Like hands free, like somebody else cleans up after you. Like that's the best way to do it.
If if I had more money, my dream thing would just be to buy as much land as possible and preserve it. Because we're having a huge problem right now in Tennessee, Northeast Tennessee especially, where people from California, because everyone got out of California during COVID, like it became essentially like it was prison for a lot of those people. There were so many regulations and restrictions placed during the pandemic that made people genuinely increase the suicide rate so much. People were so miserable and so like fucking trapped that they were like, we're gonna move to two of the least expensive and also least smallest people per capita like in land width. Does that make sense? Like your neighbors
Yeah.
are going to be really fucking far away. They went from living in California to where it's like,
Crowded.
oh yeah, fucking sardine pack to oh let's move. Tennessee's cheap as fuck. You'll see a neighbor once. You know, if you live in a good area, you'll see a neighbor like once every fucking couple streets, if that. Like, and
Sure.
I live in a city, right? So obviously, I live in a decent sized city, and so there's a couple 100,000 people in the city I live in Tennessee. So it's not like that here. But even the area I live on the side of a mountain, and you have to drive 10 minutes to get into town. Like, like my neighbors, there's one apartment complex and a couple houses on my street, and no one talks to each other, and it's fantastic. You don't like, you almost.
Yeah.
I only talk to my neighbors because I'm just a bored person, and if I'm out checking my mail or fucking throwing my trash and I see someone, I'm like, "What's up? How are you?" You know,
Right. That's
hope
that's
you're
what
doing
people
well.
should do though.
Yeah, just being friendly. But I don't like, dude. We had this guy. I've not told this story on the podcast, but I had a neighbor. He moved a couple months ago. I had a neighbor that would just one time I was out with my brother. We were smoking weed in the front of the house, and my brother left, and I went back in my house, and I went out back to start chopping firewood. I was gonna have a little fire that night, drink some beers, and just chill by myself. I do that a lot, and my neighbor comes over, and he's like, "Hey, man, I smell what you got. I got some myself, and just got out of prison for how many ever years." And immediately, as soon as he said I just got out of prison, I was like, "Damn, dude, this is one guy that I don't want to be friend because it was an old, bald, white, toothless fuck." Like,
uh
yeah, and I was like, "Dude, I really don't want to befriend this guy." Like, but I didn't want to just be like, "Fuck you, go back to your house." You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
We share a backyard essentially, so I would have to see this guy every fucking day anyway. So I was just trying to be nice. It's like, yeah, man, I got a little weed here. I'll give you some if you go back inside. Pretty much. So I gave him some weed, and then from then on, he decided to take that as if I do small jobs for this guy, he'll give me weed. So he
Oh,
would
nice.
randomly drag fucking entire trees out of the fucking forest near us that had fallen down into my backyard and be like, I brought you a tree you can cut up for some firewood. You got any weed? I'm like, I didn't ask you to fucking bring a tree to my backyard. And it
Yeah,
got so
right.
far as to where he would just start killing animals, like a fucking golden retriever or a dog or something, and bring it to me. He killed a
What?
yeah, I swear, dude, he killed a black
What?
snake, knocked on my door, and was like, "Hey, I just thought you should see what I killed." And he's like, "I killed this black snake it was in front of your house. It was in the little drain there. It was stuck, dude. It was gonna die anyway." So I really think it's pretty fucked up that he killed it.
Right.
Uh,
You got a pet
not
cat.
anybody. And he was like, he's like, I killed the snake. He's like, I didn't know if you had like any weed or anything. I was like, what the fuck is that?
What?
This guy killed a snake, brought it to me.
I'll
He was like,
trade you
am
the
I a
snake
good boy?
carcass
Am I a
for
good
some
boy?
weed.
Right? You got an
Yeah,
exotic pawn shop or something.
yeah, dude was mega weird. And then before he left, I had apparently made a huge impression on this guy. I never gave him weed after the first time. So all the shit he did, he just did it. I wasn't fucking rewarding him. But I apparently made a huge impression on this guy because before he moved, he felt the need to give us a bunch of pots and pans. Like him and his
Oh.
family had got together a box of pots and pans and was like, "We want you to have this to remember us, and we don't need it, so we thought you could use it." I have no idea where those things are, but just, and my fiance says it all the time. I've got a problem with being like overly friendly to people. I'm just nice to who the fuck ever, as long as you're not like a pedophile or some shit. Then I'll fucking
Right? If there's
I
no
can't do that.
reason to
Yeah,
be mean, then there's no reason. Like,
yeah, exactly. I won't go out of my way to be like, "Fuck you." I'm not gonna talk to you. Like, you know, I'm pretty genuinely friendly, but it gets me in all these fucking weird ass situations, bro, like that. So much weird shit
trust.
happens to me. Like the other day I was working in a store and some woman just like I noticed she was following me all around the store, so I just didn't think anything of it, just kept doing my job, blah blah, walking around, walking around. I go to walk in the back and she follows me in there with two of her friends. And I was like, "Oh," I was like, "You can't come in the back of the store." I was like, "Is there something I can help you with?" And she goes, I just had the Lord speaking to me. He told me the devil's got a hold of you, boy. The devil has got a hold of you, and you need the Lord's help more than ever right now. I could see him looming over your shoulder. And this bitch and her friends they put their hands on me and started praying on me. Trapped me in the back. I was stuck with like 1,000 products behind me in a corner to the right of the freezer door. They had cornered me, put their hands on me, and started praying on me. You
They
know,
didn't even ask her nothing. They were
no,
just
dude,
like,
this shit was mega weird, and I am all for expressing your religion, dude. I wouldn't say I'm a religious person. I'm a spiritual person. Like I believe in God. I believe that there's something greater than me. That's I have my own beliefs, and I appreciate and enjoy when other people have their own beliefs and share them with me. I like I like the difference of ideologies. I like debating. I
right,
like talking.
hearing about it.
But to come up and just place your hands on me and tell me Satan's looming over my back and start praying on me was one of the fucking most uncomfortable experiences of my life. I mean,
Yeah, and it gives it a bad name too. Like
yeah.
it's a bad experience when you're not like ready.
I was like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa," and I was like, "Hey," I was like, "Are you guys okay?" Like, I remember being like, "Is this person on drugs?" While they were praying on me, my other coworker comes in and sees them praying on me, and then he leaves. He fucking left me there. I literally was like, "Hey," and he fucking left. He turned around and ran.
Right?
They
He
finished
he
their
knew what was
prayer.
gonna happen. They'd have got him too.
Well, they finished their prayer and then they fucking went about their day. And he came back in there and he was like, "I didn't realize you had a prayer group here." And I was like, "Dude, that's not what's fucking happening. I was getting exercised. I think. I think. I,
Right.
I think they were fucking like chanting at me. It didn't feel like a prayer. It wasn't like something nice like Lord help this poor soul. It was literally like Father God, the demon has got a hold of this. But I was like, "Yo, what the fuck?"
This shit got kind of dark.
Yeah, I was just standing there like, okay, waiting for
Said,
it to be
ma'am,
over. I
I'm just
was
trying to cash out these customers. Excuse me.
well, well, I was merchandising, so I was just going in the back of the store, picking up shit, putting it on the shelves, like and I was actually done with that store. I was about to finish, like, so I wasn't like in a hurry or anything, but I also was like, I don't want to sit here and just, I don't know how long this is gonna last, but I wasn't being rude. I was like, I'm gonna let him do whatever and go about my day. The part that made it so intense and so much more comfortable than anything was I had just went out to my truck and smoked and then came back in. And it was
Oh,
like
so they probably
fucking
smelled the weed on you.
yeah, I was high as hell, and I was just like, "Oh my god, this is just the worst time to be approached with this." And it all started before she even said "I can see the devil on you." She just walked into the back with me, put her hand on me, and goes, "Son, do you know if you die today, if you'll go to heaven or not?" And to derail the whole thing, I said, "Yes, I do." To just go ahead and fucking try to get ahead of it. And she says, "I don't think you." She's like, "I don't think you really believe that. And let me tell you why." And then goes on to say, "The devil's on my shoulder." And I was like, "What the fuck, dude?" It was no escaping. But I have this weird ass magnet from being very friendly to people to try to just like, not be an asshole that draws
Right.
the strangest creatures in my life. I
After
mean,
they were done praying, were they like, "Hey, and do you got any weed?"
No, they invited me to their church cookout down the street at an apartment complex. I think, genuinely, I'm not making this up, I think they thought I was homeless.
Really?
Yeah, because they invited me to a shelter and then a church cookout thing. They was like, "You don't have to pay anything for this food, honey." And I was like, "What? Like, does this
Said
bitch think
thanks,
I'm
thanks,
fucking?"
sugar mama.
Yeah, I was like, and then her friend, because it was three older women, like middle-aged white women, and then her friend was like, "We get people all the time like you who are lost and hungry, and we have the Lord is there with drink, He's there with wine, and He's there with bread to save you." And I was like, what are we even talking about at this point? Like, how did we get to this? Like, just a minute ago, I was stocking shelves. You asked me where the bathroom was. I answered you, and then you asked me if I was going to heaven. That's how quick it was. She walked into the
Right.
back to say, "Hey, where's the bathroom?" And then I was like, "Oh, it's actually on the other side of the store." While I've got you here, do you know if you're going to heaven? I was like, "Whoa." Whoa, this took the sharpest left turn I've ever seen in my life. I was like, yeah, I definitely have.
I'd start laughing by accident because like just smoking too. Like
Yeah, it
I,
was.
I'd it'd be a tiptoe out of the conversation. I'd be in the same position as you. I'd probably have just let it happen.
Yeah, because I'm not too confrontational, like unless I have to be. I try to avoid it, but if it comes down to it, I'm prepared. Oh, speaking of which, I wanted to tell you this, dude. My jujitsu gym, the guy who coaches me, uh, he was like a two weight division MMA champion in this promotion. I can't remember the name of the promotion, but you can look him up. His name's Logan Griffin, and
Dang, what weight class?
I want to say 170 and 155 could be one. It
Sure.
has to be 170 155. But the the dude is gonna start. He's starting boxing classes in our jujitsu gym Tuesday and Thursday morning. So, and those are the days I already go to jujitsu. So I'm gonna be doing boxing and jujitsu now. Like I get to add an
As
actual.
the striking.
Yeah, there's a like. Well, the problem I had before is like all of the striking I had done was through friends that were in MMA promotions actively, and I would just
Mm.
train with them. That's all I had been introduced to, like kickboxing and Muay Thai via people who were actively training it and actively fighting, and I would work with them and shit, do mitt work and do bag work, and they would teach me like different combinations. And from there, that was about 2 to 3 years of doing that. Then I just switched to doing it all at my house. I got with the girl I'm with now, and I set up some shit in the backyard. I got a freestanding bag and everything. But I've not been able to find a reputable striking place in my area, like at all. The only places they have are like Mayweather boxing gyms, which are just cardio bullshit gyms. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But
Yeah,
like the cardio's not terrible. Balance is a big part of it too.
yeah. But he's
Like,
so Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11 in the morning I'll be doing boxing, and then 7 at night I'll be doing jujitsu. So finally I've got a place where I can actually like practice my striking as opposed to fighting with my friends when they're drunk because they're idiots.
right. That's sick. Boxing's a lot of fun. It's
Yeah.
like way less to worry about. If you do like sparring session and you're in there just doing working on boxing, you don't have to worry about any grapple, any kick, any nothing. Like you're just all looking at hands, right?
Well, and that's the cool thing too. He said that it's gonna be if we do any sparring, light sparring, and then on weekends he said we might do little boxing tournaments where you can hard spar with your friends if you want.
You
But
guys should do like the one promotion stuff type stuff where you have rounds and you're sparring and half of it is like you do a round of boxing, next round's Muay Thai, next round's like
yeah.
you know.
I'll go ahead and shout them out. It's Bristol Jiu Jitsu on YouTube. If anyone listening wants to look them up, they've actually put up some amateur boxing matches on there. It's mostly Jiu Jitsu that they post there. Because I mean, dude, my coaches are phenomenal, man, and we have world talent there. We have several people who placed worlds this year who medaled at worlds, which is very fucking impressive. Like you're fighting the best people in the fucking world, and these guys are getting first, second, or third in their weight class,
Right.
which is insane. But yeah, check out
But
Bristol Jiu Jitsu if you're listening to this. They have a YouTube channel. Fantastic. That's just look up BRISTOL Jiu Jitsu JIUJUTSU. But that was one of those things I wanted to add, like, because I know you know the difference because you've trained it before. Everyone in the world can say they can throw a punch, they can do footwork properly, they can do this and that from hitting their bag at home. But having someone show you the proper way and drill it into your muscles, that's where it's important.
yeah.
Being able to react without thinking, your body just does it. That's the same with jujitsu or any other form of martial art. that's worth the shit. You just get your body trained to respond to something without your mind actively thinking about it. Right now, my biggest problem in jiu-jitsu is when I first got there, I was a wiry white belt like anyone else. I was really good at escaping shit because I would just flail. Just fucking flail, and I would figure it out. But
with no purpose.
now that I've gotten better, I realized that my flailing may have escaped me, but it also got me out of better positions that I could have been in. So now I think, which is my biggest fucking problem, I will be sitting there thinking about what's happening and actively trying to do it. And when I think too long, that's when I get fucked every time. When I think too long
Right.
about what I'm going to do next, my partner will always take advantage of how long I'm thinking and sitting there and use it as an opportunity to make me work, essentially. And then when I start working, I'm moving all over the place. I don't have time anymore to think about what sweep I'm going to try or this or that. And that's just simply from not doing it enough. Like you just
Right.
have
Yeah. Once the muscle memory is there, it's all positioning, right? Your body automatically snaps into whatever you're trying to do from whatever angle you have. But if you're not doing it consistently, you're just like that can be used against you so easy if
indeed.
somebody knows what they're doing.
What was your dad's name? Always wanted to talk to you about this on the podcast.
Christopher Kentebe.
That's what it is. Have I been saying your last name wrong?
Nah, I say it the easiest way for other people to say it.
Oh, okay. I was about to say I've been calling you Kentabe for so
Yeah,
long.
it's Kentabe.
Okay, cool. Uh, for people listening who don't know, your dad, just to explain a little bit about his boxing career, essentially.
Let me pull up.
Fucking
Hold on.
badass guy. I'm trying to get like his exact like shit he did pulled up on here. I already got the Rocky shit. One of the things he's most well. Hold on.
Right. I'm gonna send you some stuff right now.
Yeah, but
But yeah, he was did a lot of stuff. He was doing heavyweight boxing for Canada. He did some stuff for he got silver for Canada too in the amateur boxing scene.
what a
Yeah.
fucking beast, dude.
But yeah, just heavyweight though, 6'1", 205.
That's God. That's a see to me, someone who's always been small. Like most people, when they hear like 6'1" or 205 pounds to them, that's probably just an above average person. Not really
Yeah.
like a huge person, but to me, when I'm fucking rolling in jujitsu and I have to go against a 6 foot plus guy, 200 pound plus guy weighing 160 pounds, it's so hard, bro. It's the fucking worst, dude. It truly is just the worst. I
Right. It's
hate
it's
it.
so hard to pull this stuff up. I was trying to send it to you, but he's a weird Nigerian guy, and like a lot of people don't realize this about them. They worry about like cybersecurity a lot.
Oh yeah,
And
dude, for sure.
all that shit because like he went to
That's a
school at
fact, yeah.
University of Miami for engineering, computer science, and all that computer shit. He doesn't really throw on everywhere. Where can I send this to you? I'm gonna send it to you here.
Yeah, just throw it.
Is he in the Chatham area, Devante?
No,
Okay, never mind.
no, never.
Never ever.
Yeah, never.
Lucky
Chatham.
man, lucky man.
That's the page. I don't know if you can even access that, but like this is what I mean. Like he
Doesn't
doesn't.
promote himself. He's very low key and stays off the
Yeah,
internet. Yeah, that mean that's usually the most interesting motherfuckers make it hard for you to tell other people about him. It's so
right,
frustrating.
bro. Like he's a ghost, man. This guy was in Miami, then Toronto and Calgary, like Nigeria. He just bounces, bro.
Fucking beast, dude. You look at this guy. I fucking wish. Okay, let me go ahead and explain something for those listening. This is more than likely going to be the only episode this year where we don't have video. One of the big things I wanted to bring in from last season, which we introduced with the very last episode, was our episode with Wicho Mello. We introduced video for our podcasting, which was phenomenal. That like spiked our views a ton, and
Right, it
I
gives people a
really enjoyed
visual
it.
to what we're talking about.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we're not going to have that for this because I'm still in the process of figuring out how we're going to do remote video. The only thing I can think of is everyone webcam videos, and the ones I do in person, I'm going to do in person like I did the Witcher one. But for this episode, we're not going to do that just because there's I wanted to go ahead and get the year started out on the right foot. The plan is to release 2 podcast episodes a month and try to continue that trend throughout the year, and then maybe take a break around Thanksgiving to Christmas type, that kind of area. Maybe not, we'll see. But just to get the year started, I wanted to have, go ahead and get started. I took a long break and then didn't explain it to anyone. But essentially, what happened was I picked up a bunch of fucking hours at my job to try to get ready for Christmas. I was also working. Anyone who's listening that's listening on YouTube knows this, but I went hard on YouTube. I went fucking hard. I was posting multiple times a week. I spent the majority of time working on my YouTube as opposed to my merch or the NFT project, which is still got a lot of really cool things coming, or anything else. I was just doing YouTube to try to get it caught up with everything else. That was really important to me. I want all of my all of my streams, all of my facet to be on the same page, like working like different areas of the same machine. Essentially, the way I think about it in my mind is like the fucking merch is an arm, the podcast is an arm, YouTube's a leg, NFTs are a leg, the body is the fucking brand. Kosei Teki, Logan Eisenhower, whatever you want to view that as. But my YouTube fucking leg was so weak that I spent no fucking time on the podcast, and I just left you guys like almost 20,000 of you without any fucking episode or any explanation. And I got a lot of different messages from people like, "Yo, what happened? Did you guys fail? Did you guys fuck up?" And it's quite the opposite. We did really well, and then I just fucking stopped doing it. I just, you get sweat. One thing people don't understand, dude. Those of you that have a kid, Devante understands this. It is time consuming, and it's very important that you spend that time with your child. I would much rather have spent those few months that I did just settle into being a father and being a good spouse and doing that than to force content out and sacrifice spending that time with my son. Whereas now I'm in a place to where the schedule works so much better. Like, you know what I'm saying? You start figuring it out as a parent.
Right. It never gets easier. It just gets more manageable.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And
You
that was
just get better at managing the chaos.
Oh yeah, the chaos never stops, and it's always adding different variables. It's like a spider web of how scary and how fucked up life can really be. Have a child, and it'll show you. Dude, I have so many new fucking fears that I never had before. Like, and this is the craziest one to me. Anyone who knows me knows I've skateboarded most of my life. I fucking love skateboarding. It's one of the very few things I will say I'm pretty talented at, and I enjoy doing it. Here recently, since having a kid, I'm fucking terrified to try anything new. I just have this looming thing in the back of my mind that's like, I'm gonna hit the back of my head, and then my fiance is gonna have to wipe 2 asses instead of 1.
That's not funny, but like, yeah.
That's rough to think about. I mean, don't put that into the universe. Stop it. I'm mad at you for even saying it, but
It's a real fear I've had out of nowhere. Like before, I would fucking try the craziest shit. There's clips of me throwing myself down fucking 13-foot gaps and shit on YouTube. Like all my old YouTube videos. There's one of me going down like a set of 8 stairs off the top of a gazebo. Like,
I think that's just part of growing up, though. Like you're on to the next stage of things. Not everybody's at that point, right? So
yeah.
it's just different.
The
Like,
invincibility factor changes when you lose people you love too. Like you start realizing as you get older and people start dying, you're like, oh shit. Like,
well, like even aside from that, like you have something that you have to watch grow now. So like
yeah,
you have to preserve yourself better because you don't really think about that when you're not looking after anything, right? Like you're just
yeah,
like, oh, whatever, like, you know. But it really puts more of like a perspective of your parents when you see it, like
yeah.
from
Oh
that
god,
angle.
that was the biggest one, dude. Can't tell you how many times at 2 or 3 in the morning I've just messaged my mom, been like, I'm fucking sorry, man.
Right.
I'm so sorry. Like, I appreciate everything you did for me. I am so fucking sorry. And she'll be like, yeah, it's all right. Now you see, though, and you realize that the whole time I just wanted what's best for you. And every time she says that, I feel like a piece of shit. Because I
Right.
was not a good kid, dude. I mean, I was fucking. Everyone that listens to podcasts knows I got fucking addicted to drugs. I was fucking robbing and stealing from my family. I was a genuine piece of shit. And I'm so thankful that my mom just toughed it out and was like, she gave me the tough love when she needed to, but she gave me the genuine, unconditional love when she needed to. You know,
Right. It's
I would
it's a
say the
method thing.
same.
You only get one attempt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was her
And then-
first. Like, I was her first child. So and dude, she had me when she had just turned 20, like, or had just turned 19 or 20. And So you got to think right out of fucking high school, just
It's
like,
work. It's impressive, bro.
and to really like she worked 2 jobs and went to school and took care of all of us, which she had a lot of help from my grandmother and my grandfather before they passed away. And without them, none of this shit would be possible. Like people listening to this and people who know me in real life now know me as like me. They know me as Logan Eisenhower, guy who seems to have his shit together, but fucking 6, 7 years ago, dude. Even just that recently ago, 7 years ago, yeah, when I was 20 was when it all I decided to get together. Because from 15, like from 14, 15, no, I was definitely, yeah, about 14. From 14 to 20, I was a fucking hellion, dude. I was just it was like, I was so focused on feeling something greater than nothingness all the time, like chasing a fucking adrenaline rush, a high. I would get it from anywhere, dude. Like, and that's such a dangerous thing that when you become a parent, you're like, damn, dude, I hope my kid does not get that because I survived some crazy shit. Like,
Yeah, but like you have, I don't know, it's a difference, right? Like you have experience now. Like you're not gonna be the person who's like, nah, you can never look at this.
yeah,
Obviously, like there's different angles that you'll be able to put in place to try and do better, and I don't think you'll make them like same mistakes.
I just had my main problem was I had way too much fucking free time without restriction. I
Yeah,
think I think I had no like my mom had put structure in place the best she could with how much she had on her plate, but in reality, I had a lot of time by myself to get into trouble. I had
right.
a
You
lot
got
of
you got to
time.
be put into some organized activities so that like you have constant like
I wish I would have found fucking jujitsu years ago. Honest
yeah,
to God, I wish I would have found it years ago. Like I can't wait. I can wait, but when my son turns 5, it's going to be really important for me to get him involved in jujitsu and the boxing stuff with me. Just because
right,
I don't even want to build him to be a fucking champion, but if that happens, good for him. I really just want him to have the discipline and the sense of community and like the idea that if you work really hard at something, you can get better and you'll see reward from it eventually. It's not immediate. Because I think the main problem nowadays is people want that immediate reward. That's why video games are so addicting. Like you're like, "Oh, fuck yeah, I just killed that guy. A fucking 100 plus 100 popped up on the screen. Fuck you. That felt great. Let me do it again." And you get that like immediate sense of just the immediate satisfaction of doing it. Whereas the traditional, like, I'm gonna plant a seed and fucking water it, and I'm gonna fucking fertilize the soil, and you're gonna spend all this time waiting for something that could or could not even come to fruition, but you have to work on
right,
it every fucking day. I think that sense has been lost, and that's something I really would like to implement into raising, my son with. I'm not
right.
saying like I'm gonna take him off the grid and fucking hide electronics from him because he needs to be socialized. I think there's two extremes to
There's
this.
balance.
Yeah. You need to find the balance between the two. And anyone listening to this, I'm not telling you how to fucking parent your kid. Parent your kid however the fuck you want. I don't care as long as you don't parent mine. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I raised my kid, you know, but I think as we get older and we start experiencing all this and we start changing like this, it's extremely healthy. Like I don't know if you're this way, but mentally right now, I'm in a much better place than I was 10 years ago, 5 years
Yeah.
ago, fucking 3 years ago. Like it just
Yeah.
I feel like it continues to get better as you like
Well, like once
pace
you
yourself.
realize what you're doing, you stop worrying about other people.
Dude, that's a big one. I
and
think
and that makes it easier.
we still have friends like I mean Griffin knows who I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. There's still people that just fucking are never going to get it together because they're so obsessed with worrying about what other people think. And that's just a sad existence, man, to be so worried about how other people view you that you'll fucking destroy yourself in the process.
Right.
That's a rough one to overcome. I
Like
think
yeah, it's crazy.
I went through that. I think everyone goes through that. That's why I got so addicted to drugs in high school because I was bullied my whole life up until high school. And then all of a sudden everyone was like, oh, wait, you're actually not that bad. And then when they thought you weren't that bad, I heard that and I was like, "Oh, these people like me. What do I have to do to keep them liking me?" That lasted all of fucking 3 years until about my senior year. Senior year of high school, I was like, none of these people give an actual fuck about me, honestly. Now that I really sit down and objectively think about it, this is like,
Right.
and that was the biggest lesson I had to learn, but it didn't actually kick into play until years later. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
I
it's just a bunch of
understood it.
people.
Yeah.
NPCs really like they're all just talking because you're in the same area. You
Yep.
know?
That's the most apparent one to me now, especially in the South. It's like people will just tell you their life story because they're in the same area as you. It's genuinely like a Skyrim fucking quest. They'll walk up and be like, "Yeah, I heard there's rain coming. 6 years ago, my father died in a rainstorm." And then they just start telling you everything. And then they'll just randomly be like, "I'm Jim. It was nice talking to you. I hope to see you around again." And they just told you about how they're fucking, they got cancer and their wife's about to leave them and everything. And they're like, "Okay,
Right. It's like deep.
yeah, I was that person's therapist for about 30 seconds of our interaction, and now they've decided I'll never see them again, and they're just gonna go on about their life." And that was just that's so insane, dude.
Yeah.
But I feel like people in this area are more down to share intimate information with the guy working at the fucking grocery store than they are like the people in their immediate life. It's so weird. It's such a weird dynamic down here, and people move to the South and they don't realize how fucking oversharing everyone is, especially people on meth. God damn.
Yeah, those guys can talk.
Dude, it's just insane. I don't know how the dynamic is. The last time I went to Canada, I was fucking 12, 13 years old, so I didn't get to experience it as an adult, but I would love to come up and experience a good part of Canada. Like, I don't know what you guys would consider a good part, but
I mean, it's
yeah,
hard to say. Like, obviously, if you're coming
honestly,
out here, it depends on what you're into. If you're into like the nature, you got to go like more west way. If you're into the city, then it's better to come see like Toronto way. But Edmonton still has like a decent mall for a city. So
I'm trying
I
to.
don't know.
I want to see a moose. I've never seen.
Then you gotta go. You gotta go the other way. You can't come to Ontario like
Dude,
that.
yeah, you gotta
I'm
go to
smart enough
Banff or
to know a
something.
moose will fuck me up though.
Oh, they're massive.
Yeah, a moose would fuck me up. Have you seen those videos of people just going out to check their mail in like fucking those areas of Canada, I guess, and a moose will just charge them?
Bro, they're just standing there towering over an
Yeah,
SUV. Like,
that's
bro,
insane.
I
and
would
this,
highly recommend that if you're gonna come out to Canada just for like a one trip kind of thing, like yeah, maybe stop through Toronto just to maybe see the hustle and bustle. It is a world-renowned city at this point, but like if you can, like come over from Detroit. I know it's a kind of out of the way, but you could fly maybe from Toronto out to BC, and then once you were out in BC, there's a lot more that you can really see. There's the oil sands. There's Banff National Park.
Hey, what's the oil?
There's so the oil sands are a natural phenomena that occurs in Canada and Alberta, where that's where we get most of our oil from. Actually, is
Whoa.
um, yeah, you're looking at them right now. So the oil sands are very unique in that it's a mixture of a certain type of sand, a certain type of oil, and just the right wind patterns that they create these hard obelisk things. And
Yeah.
basically what they'll do is they'll soak the sand in a type of I learned about it when I was there, but it's a type of solution. It basically pulls out the oil from the sand. So that's where and like the whole Canada's pipeline out in Alberta, that's where all of it is kind of being generated from. It's a massive kind of reservoir, but you can actually go there and walk among the dunes kind of thing, the parts that aren't being used.
that's
But
pretty cool.
I just imagine like a guy going out there and just trying to collect a bunch of oil. And go fill his
he's just
gas
putting
tank
it in his
up with.
pockets and shit. Like he's got it.
Yeah. It's like,
Sorry.
I'm- dude, that's fucking wild though.
Um,
I would love to go to British Columbia to fish. I would love to fish up there. Like
Yeah,
get some
that'd
salmon.
probably be the best area for you, honestly, out there.
Yeah. I'm a dude, I'm another facet I'm about to add to YouTube that I haven't talked about much. I've just got a kayak recently and some waders, and I'm gonna do a bunch of solo fishing trips and fucking cook them right on the side of the beach and shit.
Dang,
Them-
BC.
oh, one thing before we get off the out west, there's Glacier Lake or I believe it's Glacier Lake. Yeah, Glacier Lake, Alberta, where you'll actually it's a melted glacier that feeds this lake, so the water itself is always ice cold and it's
Whoa,
pure
this is
white.
beautiful, man.
Yeah, I would recommend going there, and if you can, swim in the lake. I
Hey,
swim in the
listen,
lake, and it's crazy.
it's only got 10 Google reviews, and all of them are 5 stars. So that's how
Well,
you.
what does that tell you? Everybody else is too busy enjoying the day.
Yeah,
They're not
that's what
reviewing it;
it
they're
said.
just loving it.
Isn't that a weird thing that we have in society where immediately people, I'm not one of these people, I just noticed that, but people before they will try something will make sure other people think it's agreeable. Isn't that
Oh
so
yeah.
fucking weird, dude?
But like that's common though. Like if nobody else likes it, then there's got to be a common reason, right?
Yeah. I
So
just,
on the
The
other
only
hand,
bad thing is about those reviews is people who have a good time don't really think to post they had a good time. Like it's usually
yeah.
the people that are unhappy that want to complain that are posting.
I try to counter that lately. I'm not like a Yelper or someone who reviews things like all the time or actually almost ever. But when I do, it's because I fucking enjoyed a place so much that I have to tell other people. Like
Facts.
it's so rare that I do that, but when I do, like I did it for this noodle place in our area called Calm Bistro. If anyone in the area is listening to this, go fucking eat pho there. Actually, is how did they pronounce it on the fucking Joe Rogan episode recently? It's like pho. It's like a question. Pho. There's some weird shit,
Is it
but
French?
no, it's Vietnamese. But
No.
oh, faux?
yeah, it's pronounced pho, but it's like
Yeah,
pho, like a question.
pho.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pho. But anyways, I fucking highly suggest eating there. But I left a review for them. Like I'm not a review guy, but when I leave one, it's like this is the best fucking shit ever, bro. Go try this shit. Like I'm an enthusiast when it comes to people I support for real. Like for example, a band that nobody really gives a fuck about anymore, Avenged Sevenfold. Dude, to this day, every day I listen to like 10 tracks of theirs. I fucking bought all of their NFT project shit. Like if I like something, I'll support it forever. My friend makes music, Nephilim Mindset. Shout out to him. I support his shit. He was like my third most listened to artist last year, and he's just a guy that lives in my town with me.
That's sick.
I think it's super important to like to support people that you don't even have to be friends. Just like support your area. Like, why would you give
your
your business to
community.
fucking
Yeah.
Walmart when it's choking out all the people who are trying to make it outside of the cookie cutter fucking path to success? Everyone's like, go to school, get a 9 to 5, get a good degree, become a doctor, become a scientist, become an engineer. Like that's what they tell you. That's the
But
only
like
way to
you
survive.
can't convince people that. Like imagine you had like 15 trusted people and you all got like a house in the same area or you bought like that land and you guys just opened a convenience store there that you guys were funding. Eventually you'd open a gas station right there that all you guys are funding.
Yeah.
Like
So
you guys
something
are
interesting
away.
about the kind of other people rating things too. Sorry to come back to that. I had a point, but I forgot to mention it or didn't interject. But if we could just circle back to it for a second. Damn it, I forgot it again. No, okay, yeah, I got it. I stumbled into being a registered Google reviewer. So like when you go to a site and you see a review and it has a little check mark beside the person and it's like this person's a Google reviewer or whatever. One sec, I'll look at what it's called. But I'm about a level 3 now, and a lot of my reviews get like around 10,000. This picture has over 30,000 views on it.
Damn.
But I'll go to like if I go to a place like you've probably heard of Blue Mountain, Devante in
Yeah.
Canada. Yeah, so I went there, and that was one of the few. Like I reviewed a whole bunch of restaurants there, and the one in particular I had a bad experience at, so I gave them a negative review. And because of the check mark, it put me at the top of the review board, so a whole bunch of people saw it, I guess. And I still have them. 15 messages from the owner of that business just trying to convince me to take it down or to change the review. Like he was offering me fucking free pizzas and shit, and I'm like,
Did
I
you do
don't
it?
live there. I took
Oh,
it down because I felt bad
yeah.
afterwards.
I
But
was gonna
like
say,
he apologized too. Like he was like, "Hey, look, I'm really sorry that happened, and it wasn't even like his really fault. Like we just ended up waiting outside the restaurant for like 45 minutes because they forgot about us. But
Yeah, that's definitely
that's
the
on
fucking
the
host's fault or whatever.
no, like that's not the owner, that's not the business. That's
No, the
just like
host.
they
Wait, what
were
do you guys call it in
that's
Canada?
The
the
host, yeah.
hostess. Yeah, the
Okay,
Hostess,
yeah.
yeah.
I didn't know if it was different thing. But
So something
Service.
interesting to think about is if something's like is really good or is really bad but gets good reviews by say a few reputable people. Like I took down that review because Buddy uh messaged me about it, and I could have changed the review and said this is what happened, and then he messaged me and made it right. That's what I should have done. But
yeah.
the case was that he just kind of censored the bad review. So it's interesting to see, like, you can't always trust them, especially with like tourist attractions, locations like that. Like I've found it where you'll go to a place or you'll go to an experience and it'll be all great reviews and say it's like the most minor shit. Like I went for a mining tour in Hamilton, and it ended up being really like kid oriented. Like we were going and looking at the old machines that people used to use, and like a clay model came to life and like did a scary noise or something. Like it was really kiddish. Like I was pretty thoroughly unenthused. Like I was enthused, yeah, but um my point is something like that can be awfully misleading, but that was the highest rated attraction nearby at that time for me. So it's just I don't know. And all the reviews were saying that it was really cool, it was really in depth, learned a lot, like it was an experience to go into a mine for the first time, but in reality it was like you're going 70 feet into a hole that someone dug and just looking at like a museum. But it
Fair.
You'd have to
wasn't
be
too bad.
interested in that, which I mean, you are interested in that thing kind of thing, or you wouldn't have done it. But I think making it more animated to like excite children is probably their goal there, because they're like the
That's
next
the goal. Yeah.
generation needs to be excited about this, because they're just not. That is like I said, dude. We've got a problem with this, my generation included, where we like immediate satisfaction. Like it's so important to just be immediately rewarded for whatever you've done. And I feel like that's a fucking poison, dude. That's not a good thing. There's just
Yeah.
I fall folly to it. I agree. And like that
oh, me too.
situation there, I don't mean to say like, yeah, it was a shit time. Like he's fucking don't go do that. Like it was an experience and it was fun, but it wasn't what it was made out to be. And I feel like that is a problem with having all this information at our fingertips. It's so easy to falsify it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's the other part of it too, that it's easy enough for someone like the owner of that business to message someone like me who doesn't really have like any stake in the matter and will just change the review kind of on a whim.
Right.
But and that's
There's a
also a
place
bad
near
thing.
here, like a couple cities over, right over the state line, where they have like made up this entire story that gravity is reversed there, and
Yes.
it's a tourist trap. It's obviously not reversed. They just built the architecture in a way to where everything plays a trick on your mind.
The mystery spot.
Yeah,
Am I correct? Yeah.
that is
I've
actually, yeah. What
watched
the
documentaries on it. I know that spot well.
dude? That's wild. It's called Mystery something. It might be Mystery Spot. I can't remember, but it's like, yeah, it's right near me, and they've like, dude, they almost got me too. When I first got in there, I was really fucking amazed. I was like, whoa, how the fuck is this working? Like everything here is going the opposite of the way it would anywhere else. And then I got in this one room when no one was guiding me in there, and I started doing some tests myself to figure out what the fuck was happening. And then I realized the whole building is just built at an angle. The building is literally built funny. The building's built to make you seem like you're oriented straight up and down, but in reality, the entire time you're standing at an angle. Like, and that makes everything move differently, because it's so hard to explain. I'm not doing a good job explaining it, but
It is a like it
just an
makes it
illusion.
look so if you're looking at the outside of the room, if you're looking at the room, it looks like the table itself is like level. But if you
Yeah,
actually put something on the table,
it
it'll
rolls
roll to
uphill.
it rolls up what looks like
Yeah,
uphill. But what's
exactly.
actually happening is like you're standing on an angle. It's weird. It's a very it's a genius thing. Like if you could make a spot like that, like if And that's the other part of it too. If you can generate enough hype around something that is so minor, like for example, an old mine that you bought and you turned into a tourist attraction, if you sell it well enough, you can make money off of it. Like same with
That's
those
the
mystery
thing.
spots.
Yeah, you just gotta pretty it up enough, and people be like, "Ooh, interesting, new, fun. I gotta do, because we're a
Right.
consumer
Do you
nation."
think those places are still surviving though at the same time? Like
During
Well,
the
now that I
tourist
think
pandemic,
about
fuck
attractions
it,
no.
definitely got hit because of COVID.
Yeah, during the pandemic, a lot of those places got fucked, and they just went out of business, and were like, dude, specifically, one of the reasons I didn't get to go to Japan is because they closed their borders to tourism. It got so bad that the Japanese government was literally begging their fucking younger generation to start drinking more alcohol because
Jesus.
their alcohol intake and the money they were making from tourism and people coming in and drinking and fucking having a great time suffered by the billions, and the government was literally like, dude, please, what is up with you guys? You're fucking in your 20s, nobody's drinking, this is fucking weird, you guys are fucking your country. And then the kids were like, open it. But not even just the kids, the people our age and the people that owned businesses in those tourist traps were like, open back the borders and we'll start drinking again. It like turned into this weird chess match between the citizens and the government. And eventually this year, Japan caved. Or actually last year, I'm sorry, 2022. Japan caved and they finally opened. And they did this package, like this tourist package, where they're like, if you come to Japan right now as a tourist, we'll give you like 50% off on. And they just named like a fuck ton of businesses because all those businesses were like in survival mode. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to get a spike of any kind of business coming. So I'm sure they rebounded wonderfully because I was fucking chomping at the bits trying to get into Japan.
Right?
I
Yeah,
just,
that would be nice.
I'm going this year for sure. I don't fucking care what happens. I've got to go this year. If not this year, the very beginning of next year. But I want to go this year more than anything.
How long's that flight from you?
Oh, for me, I think it's 19 hours,
Yeah, that's a mission.
and that's if I go. Hold on, let me see.
Direct, right?
Yeah, that's like. So one stop is if I go one single stop, it's 18 and a half hours. And the cheapest I can get it in this area per person is like $1,700 a person.
Bro, this is
For just a flight.
2023. Why can we not fly the short way?
Dude, how do yeah. Well, for me, I get it. It's because so essentially I would have to fly to California or Hawaii and then fly to Japan from there. Or however they do it. I'm pretty sure it's California, right? Am I tripping? Because
Yeah,
we're
but
close.
don't you have to go the long way?
Oh wait, yeah, I should be able to just fly from fucking New York right over there.
Yeah.
Bullshit. That's horseshit. I'm just now looking at the globe. That's fucking horseshit. What is
Yeah.
fucking bullshit, dude?
It's because of the wind.
The fuck is that really?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we should be so advanced.
Oh wait,
now
no.
that
I'm
shouldn't
looking
be a
at
problem.
I'm looking at it flat now. Los Angeles is
So,
closer to Tokyo.
It's
I'm looking
not
at it flat.
necessarily a problem. It's the cost issue of it, okay? It costs 3 times as much to fly into the wind as it does to fly with it.
Fair.
Dude.
And so when they're looking at it, yeah, it's a and on that trip too, like yeah, they have to pay pilots and people to man the actual plane, pay for the fuel and whatnot, but it's less fuel, and the passengers on that plane are spending more time on those overnight flights. They're buying overpriced dinners, overpriced drinks.
We should have some kind of counteractive system that makes that work easier to go against the wind. We should be advanced by now.
Yeah. I think
Oh,
I love
yeah.
the theory that like more advanced civilizations that are watching us, like we're like the super fucking just backwoods redneck science version. They're like, dude, look at these fucking monkeys. They literally blow up things under their vehicles and shoot themselves across fucking large areas. Because that's what we're doing. We're exploding something, like combusting things. We're literally
Right.
using an
Yeah.
explosion to generate power to move us forward. That's so sketchy if you really think, it's like objectively sit down and think about it. It's essentially the same thing as like fucking setting up some sort of device on the back of your chair to capture an explosion that'll thrust you forward with continuous motion, just continuously combusting something so that you don't jerk too hard and throw yourself and it just smoothly goes. Think about how in the last fucking 80 years we've went from flying the first plane to fucking what we're doing now. What has it been 80 years or more than that?
But like it looks like bounds and leaps, but it's probably nothing to if we pick the short straw.
Oh dear God, it's been 120 years since the first flight. That's insane.
Yeah, we got the short straw. We didn't
1
get the
second,
good one.
guys.
Like we're stuck.
Sorry to do this. I'll be right back.
Oh, you're good. Let's see here. Yeah, that's fucking wild, dude. I don't know. I now that I've looked at the globe again and where Japan is, I'm a little upset that I am actually gonna have to fly to California to get there. Fuck. It would be so much cheaper and easier if I didn't have to fly across the country first. I guarantee that's 90% of the fucking cost. You could probably just hop right from San Francisco to Japan for, you know, a short flight. Not a short flight, but like maybe 10, 11 hours. It's better than 20. Like if you do a 2-stop flight to Japan from where I'm at, it's 24 hours of flying.
That's a lot of hours.
That's fucked up. That's fucked up, dude. Well, I've almost drove that in total. Like, I've driven 15 hours in one day. That was brutal.
I am back, but I do have to say shortly I will have to get going.
Oh yeah, we can go ahead and wrap up. We've actually been running a pretty long time, going on almost 2 hours. It's been
Holy crap.
yeah, it's been a wonderful experience. We'll definitely have you back on if you want to, Devante.
Yeah, I'll
Something
make
always
another
happens,
appearance.
and we always end up cutting it short because I fucking ramble and shit happens. But greatly appreciate you coming on. You too, Griffin. It's always a pleasure. I
Likewise.
always like to end it with some sort of bullshit that we talked about and kind of recap and some sort of good ideology. I guess the best thing to take away from today is change is good as you get older, and make sure that you're just continually moving forward and trying to adjust to the situations that are presented to you. And as always, the greatest quote of all time that will eventually be seared in your fucking brains: don't get choked on your daily dose of 2 pieces of toast. Peace.